Hello, and welcome to Vintage Horror Movies, where we provide commentary, analysis, and criticism of older horror movies. Last week we talked about what is technically considered the world's first horror movie. It's a 3 minute long silent French film. I won't try to pronounce it in French, but it is The Manor of the Devil from 1896 by George Méliès. It was released in the US as The Haunted Castle and in the UK as The Devil's Castle. This time we're talking about the first full-length horror movie, which is The Cabinet of Dr Caligari from 1920. It's 74 minutes total, and this movie is listed on all of the best of lists and is um, considered one of the movies most analyzed in film history. It was directed by Robert Wiene, Wiene, and written by Hans Janovich and Karl Mayer. The first thing that stands out when viewing the movies are the visuals. It's German expressionism, so freaky structures and landscapes, unusual angles, shadows, etc. These types of visuals typically denote a nightmare, a dream, anxiety, or insanity. Movies made before German Expressionism depict naturalistic settings. So let me just show you a few examples of this. So that's Dr. Caligari and Cesar. And then here we have a doorway. You can see all the angles are askew. And also a chimney. This is one of the most popular shots that most people know about. And let's see what else. Outside you can see even the trees are shaped strangely. Okay, so we previously talked about the German Expressionist movement, which affected not only movies but also art, theater, and architecture. And we talked about it when we reviewed the works of F.W. Murnau, 1922's Nosferatu, and Paul Linney from 1927's The Cat and the Canary. Other examples are Paul Wagner's The Golem from 1920 and Fritz Lang's Metropolis from 1927. Alfred Hitchcock was also influenced by Expressionism. His third film, The Lodger, used most of the same techniques, including set design, lighting, trick camera work, etc. This movement continues to be influential today and is reflected probably most popularly in the work of Tim Burton with Beetlejuice, The Nightmare Before Christmas, etc. Where to find these movies? They're on Internet Archive, Roku, Crackle, and other places for a fee. The original is considered in public domain since it was first published outside the U.S. before January the 1st, 1930. It has been remastered and copyrighted music added, so those versions may not be in the public domain. Rotten Tomatoes score. Critics gave it a 96%, audiences gave it a 59%. Not bad for a movie that's 100 plus years old. The basic plot is the story is about Dr. Caligari, who's a crazy hypnotist played by Werner Krauss. He uses Cesar, who's a brainwashed somnambulist, and that's a sleepwalker played by Conrad Veidt, V-E-I-D-T. He uses him to kill people. Caligari says Cesar has been asleep since he was born some 23 years ago. Other main characters include a guy named Francis, his friend Alan, and a woman they're both in love with named Jane. I'm not going to give too much more of the plot away if you haven't seen it because that will ruin it for you. Trivia. This movie was created on a budget of $12,371 and made a box office of $4,713. Incidentally, the lead actors made $30 a day. Hans Janovich claimed to have gotten the idea for the movie when he was at a carnival. He saw a strange man lurking around. The next day he heard a girl had been murdered. He went to the funeral and saw the same strange man lurking about there. This film uses a framing device, which is a prologue and an epilogue, and also has a twist ending, which of course is very common in horror movies today. This was not the first film to use that framing device, but was one of the early films to use it. Apparently, the writers did not want to do this, but it was forced on them by the director, Robert Vine. Electricity was extremely limited in post World War I Germany, so they painted light beams on the backdrops. Shooting on severely confined sets forced them to use unusual camera angles, so this was perfect for German expressionism. Both Janovich and Mayer were pacifists and greatly distrusted authority after their experiences in World War I. This story can be interpreted in several ways. It can be about what happened in Germany politically at that time, with Caligari representing the government and Caesar representing the common man who needs someone to lead him and dictate his behavior. Of course, we know what the creators of this movie did not know, and that's what happened in Germany up to and during World War II. Some have questioned whether this movie was a premonition about what was going to happen with Hitler. Now, this movie could also be about insanity and the nature of reality. Lots of different musicians have created scores for this movie. It seems that the script it seemed that the script was missing until the early 1950s. Werner Krauss said he had a copy. After his death, the German Film Archive bought it, and it remained unavailable for public consumption until 1995. When the film first opened in New York City in April 1921, some audiences members booed and demanded their money back. Nicolas Cage has said in several interviews that this is his favorite movie of all time. Hans Janovich and Karl Mayer were introduced in June 1918, and both were penniless at the time. They were introduced by an actress who knew each of them. She later became the basis for the Jane character. Producer Eric Palmer originally wanted Franz Liszt to be the film's director, but he was working on another movie. And of course, he is famous for lots of movies, but also Metropolis. Konrad Witt fled Nazi Germany and became a major film star, doing some 119 films. He also is best known for The Man Who Laughs from 1928 and Casablanca from 1942. Robert Vine also fled Nazi Germany. He did 47 movies total. One of his other famous movies was The Hands of Orlok from 1924. Co-star Lil Daggerfer, who played Jane, stated that Witt, who played Cesar, stayed in his role between scenes and scared other cast members with his lurking about. And of course, here's a picture of him here. His character is very compelling because they have him wearing just all black. He's very thin. Of course, his eyes are greatly exaggerated, and he has pale white makeup. Several later attempts to make sequels or remakes of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari proved unsuccessful for the most part, and there are actually 6 of them. So let me go over those real quick. There was an uncompleted sound version that was worked on from 1934 to 1938. In 1934, Vine acquired the rights to shoot a talkie about Caligari, but his untimely death in 1938 canceled the project. Then there was a remake in 1962 called The Cabinet of Caligari by screenwriter Robert Bloch, B-L-O-C-H. He's written tons of stuff, but is best known for Psycho. His unnamed script had nothing to do with Caligari whatsoever. The title was forced on his script by director Roger Kay. Then we have something called Caligari's Cure from 1983. This is an obscure movie by Tom Palazzolo, P-A-L-A-Z-Z-O-L-O, and it uses extensive clips from the original movie. Then we have Dr. Caligari from 1989. This is a kind of sequel directed by Stephen Sayadine, Sayadian. It was supposed to be about Caligari's granddaughter running an asylum and performing bizarre hormonal experiments on patients, and it has nothing else to do with the original. Then we have The Captain of Dr. Ramirez from 1992. Peter Sellers' only feature film was only screened at Sundance. It never got a theatrical release, and it has a completely different plot from the movie. And lastly, there's a shot for shot remake from 2005. And it's an independent film called Just Caligari by director David Lee Fisher. And it uses live actors in front of a green screen that contains the matte shots of the original set. Doug Jones, you know him from many things, plays Cesar. And this is the same approach that Fisher did with his version of Nosferatu, which I talked about during the Nosferatu episode and on the podcast Food and Frightening Film Fanatics.podbean.com. So that was 6 separate attempts at remaking the movie. So should you watch this movie? Definitely you should. This is the quintessential German expressionist film. It put German films on the map worldwide. It's extremely influential in the genres of horror and film noir and art house movies. I will mention one thing though, just don't expect the pacing to be the same as it would in a modern film. Most everything we watch currently is way speeded up compared to older movies due to our limited attention span. Also, don't let the fact that it's a silent movie throw you off. It is extremely inventive, especially for being over 100 years old. And I think you'll definitely enjoy the twist ending. So that's all we have on the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Until next time, watch out for crazy psychiatrists and also crazy sleepwalkers. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.